Hey guys, welcome back. It's Josh with the Financial Advisor Car Guy. So as you can see this week, I'm here in my office and today we're going to talk about automotive stock. This is a question I get all the time, whether it be from clients, colleagues, friends, whatever. They understand that I'm a car guy and they are always asking about, what companies should I invest in if I've got money to invest and I want to do it in a car-minded capacity. So I'm going to start by saying this is not financial advice. This is just financial information. I'm not giving any of you guys a recommendation to buy anything that I'm about to talk about. I wanted to get that disclaimer out of the way. Moving forward, everything that I'm going to share from my screen here is public information. This is going to be basically the way I'm going to do this is I want to talk about real briefly several different automotive manufacturers. I'll tell you the current stock trade price, and then we'll talk about the 52-week high and low. And basically what that means is what the stock is traded for at any point in the last 1 year. I'll also tell you if they pay a dividend and if they do, what that yield is. And then I'll kind of read you a little bit of a description about each company and maybe why you would or wouldn't invest in it. So I'm going to go ahead and just dive right in. I'm going to go ahead and start with Ford, being that it's Ford. It's a big American company, been around forever, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll start with Ford. It's currently trading today. Right now, the market's still open today, $11.68 a share. In the last 52 weeks, it's been anywhere from $9.49 on the low end to $15.20 on the high end. Okay, so we're trading $11.68. So we're a little bit closer to the low than we are the high. It does pay a 5.14% dividend yield. And what that means is it pays you a 60-cent dividend per year per share you own. It's not bad. The little company overview blurb, it says Ford Motor Company manufactures automobiles under its Ford and Lincoln brands. Okay. In March of 22, the company announced that it will run two segments under its company title of Ford. Ford Blue, which is all the combustion engine stuff, and then Ford Model E is their electric, their EV segment under the Ford Motor headline. They have 13% of the market share here in the US, 11% in the UK, and just under 2% in China. Sales in the US make up over 66% of the company's total revenue. They employ 177,000 employees and are based in Dearborn. So that's Ford. I would say that, from the standpoint of just informational sake, let's go to their biggest competitor. I'm going to call it General Motors. So GM is the ticker. Oh, for Ford, the ticker, if you're looking for it, is just F. All right. General Motors emerged from bankruptcy as General Motors Corporation in 2009. So what that means is they used to be General Motors Corporation, and now they're General Motors Company. I'm going to drink some water. Okay, once upon a time, they were 8 brands. They are now 4. That's interesting. Okay, they're trading currently at $46.60. The 52-week high is only $49.35. So we're really close to that. And then the 52-week low, $26.30. They pay a 1% yield, which means they pay you 48 cents per share that you own annually, okay? Their share of the domestic market is not listed here, which is frustrating, but it does say it's kind of interesting. They have their Cruise autonomous vehicle arm of the corporation that offered driverless, geo-fenced AV robo-taxi services in San Francisco. They had it in a few other cities as well, but they stopped that at the end of 2023 after an accident. They're hopeful to start it back up in at least one city before the end of 2024. We'll see. Now, one thing I would say is common amongst these two, and they're going to be common against the rest too, is that many of them have their own internal financing department. And so they don't need to make money on the vehicle itself. They're going to sell accessories, they're going to sell warranties, and then they're going to finance the loan. And sometimes they don't make money. If I go buy a new F-150, all the time they're running 60 or 72 month specials where the APR is 0. Okay, but where they're going to try to get me is on all the extras. Do I want to buy the floor mats? Do I want to buy the clear bra stuff? Do I want the tonneau cover? Do I want whatever, all those extras, and then an additional warranty or whatever else, especially if the vehicle is used? That's how these dealerships make their money. And then they make it on volume. So if they're not making money on the loan, they want to sell 100 pickups because there's a little bit of margin in each sale. But if they're giving you a 0% financing, they're going to get you on the purchase price because there's not a lot of wiggle room there. They're not going to go down below sticker, and then they're not going to give you 0% financing. It's probably one or the other. So a lot of these companies make a lot of money on lending you the money to buy this truck or car or whatever it is, and then you're going to pay interest back on the loan, whether it be 1%, 5%, 9%, it doesn't matter. That's where they're making some money. So GM is another one. Let's jump to the exotic side. This will be fun. Let's look at Ferrari. Ferrari's ticker is RACE, R-A-C-E. Okay, so that's kind of fun. The reason they did that is because Ferrari brand is synonymous with F1, right? They're one of the biggest F1 racing teams. There's a lot of exclusivity around a Ferrari. It's literally here, it tells us it is the world's most expensive exotic sports car. Now, you might have a one-off Lambo or a one-off McLaren or whatever that may be as expensive or more, but from the standpoint of generic just branding, Ferrari is essentially the most expensive of a mass-produced car. Bugatti's going to be more expensive, but they're not produced to the same volume. So there are some caveats with that, so take it for what it is. Ferrari's an expensive stock. It's trading at $408.33. In the last year, the 52-week range, as high as 442, as low as 285 and a few pennies. So it has a pretty wide range, 285 to 442. It's a pretty wide range of volatility. Their dividend, they pay $2.63 per share, but because the shares are so expensive, it's actually less than a 1% yield. So you kind of have to pay attention to that. They have a captive finance company that, again, as I just discussed, makes them a huge amount of money. For last year's sales, they consolidated Europe, the Middle East, and all of Africa. That was 48% of their revenue. A lot of that comes from Europe, obviously. Then the next was the Americas at 30%. And when they say the Americas, they mean North and South and Central and everywhere in between. So a lot of that's the US market, but they call it Americas because it's everything on this side of the Atlantic. China is 10%, and then all the rest of Asia is 12%. So, I mean, that's their business model. They're not selling. I don't see anything here where it talks about Australia. That's about the only continent that's not included. So I don't know, Ferraris are super rare down there. They don't even account for 1%. All right. Let's go to the EV side. Let's look at Tesla. This has been an interesting stock. I don't actually prefer this stock, personally speaking, and it has nothing to do with, again, a recommendation for you. But I've lost money on Tesla a couple of times, and I have since made it, but at the same time, it seems like I'm always late to the party. And I'll tell clients this all the time. You know, Tesla will start to climb, and then I decide, oh, I better own it. So I buy it, and then it plummets, and then it takes forever to recover. The moment I break even, I sell it, and then it continues to climb. So I lost that opportunity, and then I rebuy it up top. I've just had issues with it. But they're a completely EV manufacturer. They do everything from their own developing to their own, construct of the vehicles. They have their own factories. Tesla's a pretty large company anymore. They don't pay a dividend. They don't pay a dividend at all. So it's 0%, 0 pennies. They don't pay one. The stock today is trading at $178.42, and the range is pretty grand, as low as 138 and as high as 299. So they definitely cover, now that the Cybertruck is out there, they cover all aspects of vehicular options. They've got the Model S, the Model Y, the Model 3, the Model X. They've got the Semi now and the Cybertruck. They've got the old Tesla Roadster with a new one coming out. And so they're trying to diversify their product lineup, but it's all 100% EV. They're not hybrids. They don't have any gas going into those cars. And, some people are into that. Some people are not. I don't know. I think people who like Teslas love them, right? People who buy them have just something about a Tesla. You've bought into the process. You've bought into Elon. You've bought into all the things. And it to you, it's probably more than just an EV. You can go buy a Mach-E, right? Like I have a Mach-E. I love it. My wife drives it every day. It's been a great car for us. We've had it for over 2 years. And it's an EV. We plug it in at night. We drive it all week. And then we plug it in, the next week or whatever it is. And, where Tesla's been struggling is their earnings. They keep thinking that more and more EVs are going to hit the road. And they might, especially as gas-powered options become a little bit more limited. But I don't think their growth has been as largely, as they expected. So I don't know, but they have a lot of self-driving features and other things that no other auto manufacturer can offer to the same degree. So Tesla is still kind of a technology company that's masquerading as an automotive company. Once upon a time, it was such that you'd read one of Elon's texts in the middle of the night, and the next morning the stock would spike up or down. And so when you were buying Tesla stock, you were buying not only, that Model S that drives down the street, but you're buying stock in Elon and SpaceX and all the other things that he's got his fingers in, because really the stock moved with whatever Elon was saying. So it hasn't done that so much as of late. It is much more dependent and reliant on the actual performance of Tesla. But Tesla's a pretty diversified company. You know them as the car company, but they also build solar roofs for homes. They build wall battery pack backups for homes. They're huge. They sell a lot of battery storage solutions to a lot of people. And they own their own fast charging network, right? You drive down the road and you see Tesla chargers. They own all that. Those are assets. So they're a growing company. Their earnings look healthy. I think they'll continue to do just fine because they're a little bit more unique in their space than the big guys like Ford and GM. Another huge auto manufacturer I almost forgot about is Volkswagen. Their ticker, Tesla is TSLA. Volkswagen is VWAGY, VWAGY. VWAGY. Okay. Now, Volkswagen is one of the world's largest auto manufacturers. It's the headline here. They're trading at $12 a share. It's been as low as $11.16, as high as $17.53. So we're on the lower side of that. They actually pay a pretty phenomenal dividend. It's 98 cents per share. And when the shares are only $12, it's over 8% is the dividend yield. So that's pretty great. They own several passenger car brands as well as commercial brands, commercial vehicles. Obviously, they own Volkswagen, right? But they own Audi, Bentley, Lamborghini, Porsche, Seat, and Skoda. And Seat and Skoda are European manufacturers. We can't really buy those here. From the commercial vehicle brand side, they've got Volkswagen. They've got Scania, which again, not available here. Navistar, not available here. And MAN, M-A-N, not available here. I'm not familiar with really any of the three of them, but they're viable brands that Volkswagen has found value in. Once again, they have a financial services group that helps finance all this stuff. And I would tell you that they're probably a little bit better positioned, because when you're leasing commercial vehicles or selling commercial vehicles, there are companies that come in and they'll buy a fleet and they depreciate them. So they probably don't pay cash. They're going to just make payments and they're going to get charged interest. And so Volkswagen is very savvy in that side of things, which honestly is probably how they can offer an 8% yield to the shareholders. That's pretty huge, pretty unique. But in Europe, Volkswagen has a crazy, they have 41% of the market. I mean, do that math, right? Literally over 1 in 3, almost 1 in 2 cars that you see driving down the road is part of that Volkswagen family. Crazy. 37% of cars in China. So that is truly 1 in 3 cars in China is a Volkswagen family-owned car. And then the rest of the world is at 20 to 22%. The rest of the world. I would say the US is maybe close to that, but I know in my area, we don't see that many Volkswagens, not 1 in 5. So they're a good one. I think there's probably some room for growth. Again, we're being on the lower end of that 52-week range and paying an 8% dividend. That's one that people probably ought to pay attention to. The last two I'll talk about together. Rivian, RV, what's the ticker for Rivian? It's RIVN. Had to remember that. It's on the lower end of its scale too. So RIVN is currently trading at $10.89. It has traded in the low teens for a while, but in the last 52 weeks, the high was $28.06, almost a year ago. And the more current 52-week low is only $8.26, and that was just in April. So their volatility is pretty great. I mean, more than any of the other ones we've talked about. Their earnings are negative. They aren't paying a dividend. There's not even a company overview blurb in my system for Rivian. All we know is they've got their truck and their SUV, and there's a lot more hype than there are actual results. So this is one that I watch pretty closely because I think their vehicles are super cool, but they're not making money. It's a tough sell for an investment. It could be a long shot. It might be one that someday does awesome, but we don't know. They lost a contract with Amazon. Amazon was going to buy however many vans. That ended up not happening. They did get some, but Rivian, I think, lost that contract, if I remember correctly. And so it's been an uphill battle. They may just lease out or sell their technology to Ford or GM or somebody else someday. I don't know. It's all speculative at this point. But the other one I wanted to visit about is a Chinese auto manufacturer called NIO. NIO is the ticker for them. They're currently trading at $4.32. It was as low as $3.61 in the last 52 weeks and as high as $16. So 4 times what it's trading for now was the 52-week high. Now NIO doesn't pay a dividend. NIO doesn't have any sort of dividend yield. They do have negative earnings, but not by much. They're just about break even, which is awesome. But I'm going to read you their overview here. It says basically they were founded in 2014. They're a leading electric vehicle maker targeting a premium segment. So they're building a premium automobile. Basically, it says they design, they develop, and they jointly manufacture and sell premium smart EVs. They have differentiated themselves through continuous technological breakouts and innovations. They have trademark, copyrighted, whatever, a battery swapping module so that when your battery depletes, rather than continually charging it, you pull into this bay and the batteries get swapped underneath the car. It's amazing. It actually is smarter than anybody in the US is doing it, because here, you buy a Tesla and the battery dies, you're sitting on a $30,000 bill for a new battery. But these guys have it built into the financing. So you buy the vehicle And essentially, anytime the battery needs to be replaced, it's just swapped out. And they've got some technologies coming that essentially can, I don't want to say revitalize and reuse these batteries, but there's a way that they're able to recondition them for potential use again, which again is super unique. They also have had some serious breakthroughs in autonomous driving technologies. So they launched their first model. It's called the ES8. It's a 7-seater electric SUV, and that came out back in 2017. They began deliveries of that vehicle in June of 18, and now its current model portfolio includes mid-size to large-size sedans as well as SUVs. It sold over 160,000 EVs last year alone. They account for only 2% of China's passenger new energy vehicle market. So Tesla's in China. There's a lot of other EV manufacturers that are selling cars to China. NIO is a Chinese company, but they have a very small market share. But I think it has something to do with their, whatever they're calling their premium segment. So the higher class, and they're expensive. If you get a moment though, Google NIO sports car, and they have a beautiful supercar, hypercar, fully electric. It's super fast. It's actually really attractive looking. I think it's still in concept form, but I'd love to see them actually produce it and then put it on a track, put it up against the likes of the new, Tesla supercar, their Roadster. And I'd be really curious to see how that does. But NIO's a fun one. I bought NIO personally, back in 2017, I think, probably right before they started making deliveries in 2018. I owned the stock. I bought it at $3. It's trading at $4 today. It got clear up to $60. And then it had steadily come back down, and it's been trading in the $5 to $10 range for quite a while now. But it was a success story. I didn't sell very much of it when it got up to $60 because I was hoping it was going to keep going, and it didn't. And then I held on to it for a little too long. But I had made money on it. NIO had been a really pretty great investment for me personally speaking. And for full disclosure, I don't own it anymore, but I still watch it pretty closely. And in hindsight, back in April, it got down to $3.61. Had I seen that, truthfully, I probably would have bought some, just for the long shot of who knows where it's going. They haven't broken into the US market, but they're trying. And so that's something to consider too. The last one is Lucid. This is just one that I kind of pay attention to, mostly because it's had tons of hype. The stock back in 21 got as high as almost $60, and today it trades at $2.50. So once again, I kind of look at it as if Lucid does make it, there's an opportunity here for someone to make some money. You can buy the shares at $2.52. A year ago, almost a year ago exactly, it was over $8 a share, so 4 times what it is today. And just in April, it was $2.29, so about a quarter less than it is today. Lucid is the same as, let me think about Rivian. No dividend yield, earnings is loss. They haven't shown a profit yet, and there's no blurb, no informational piece for me to read to you. There's just not a lot to say about Lucid, but it is kind of an interesting situation because they do build a really premium car. And I know when they first came out, their boast was they have the longest range. I think they could go 500 to 600 miles on a charge. And there was nothing else out there. There still is really nothing else out there that can go that distance. But you had to pay a lot of money for it. And so I don't know that their sales were quite what they thought. There are a couple of Lucid cars running around in Central Oregon, and I've seen a maroon one. I think that's kind of their flagship color, but it's kind of a dark maroon with a silver roof, and it's really attractive. It's a handsome car, but someone paid a lot of money for it, and I don't know. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys this week. I just thought this would be kind of a fun approach, fun, different kind of episode where, we are diving into the investment side, but still talking about cars, talking about manufacturers. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts? Do you guys invest in any of this stuff, or would you if you had an opportunity to? Some companies are obviously better positioned today than others, but that doesn't mean they can't all do better in the future, right? So I don't know. I'm going to leave you guys with that. Do your own research. Have questions, reach out. Again, I do this every day, all day, every day. And I love what I do. And I love doing this type of research and trying to consolidate this stuff to a 20-minute, 25-minute episode is not that easy. So there's more to talk about. There's more information out there. And I'd encourage you guys to do your own research. But in the meantime, like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts on all this stuff are. But most importantly, remember, may every investment you make be a good one. Till next time.